Let me be candid with you, Mr. Anderson. Heh, your name describes you very well. I do not have a sufficient moral reason for my actions. I will not speak to you of greater things that will be the consequence of my actions. The pastor began to speak his truth. There was no need for him to lie or twist things to fit a narrative. No, he didn't need to convince Anderson of anything. What he wanted to convey was just his perspective on things and what made him do the things he did and will continue to do. What I want is a restart of the world at large, to wipe out humanity and let every other creature and the microorganisms inherit the earth and evolve into a new species. His words sounded like the blabbering of a madman. To wipe out humanity was such an outrageous thing that to some it was inconceivable. However, the pastor continued unconcerned with what his opponent thought of him. The reason I want that is simple. I am disgusted by the continued existence of humanity. I am not simply dissatisfied with my life and making that everyone's fault. No. Humanity is disgusting, a disease that doesn't deserve the earth they inhabit. Those words came out of him with an uncontestable malice, hatred so palpable that Anderson struggled to make sense of it. The only thing he could think at this moment was that the pastor had lost his mind. When I was a teenager, I used to sit alone at midnight and think about how at that moment people were dying, starving to death, being tortured, murdered, raped, and lied to. And every day I would be overwhelmed by those thoughts, knowing those things are happening yet lacking the power to do anything. It disgusted me, filled my mouth with bile and a bitterness I couldn't comprehend. I knew it wasn't just a select few, but humanity as a whole who was guilty of all the bad in the world, and it will never stop. This would go on for eternity without end. We the very creatures that are capable of so much evil, constantly bickering about who's the most evil. Billionaires are evil. No, it's the politician. That's wrong, it's religion. No, 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 it's white people, and so on and so forth. Every day we shift the blame, change the target, and yet never acknowledge individual evils done by normal everyday people. Faced with these constant thoughts of the evil that goes on in the world, my mind couldn't handle it. It was overwhelming. I knew it would never end, and there was no solution. So every day I had to convince myself not to care, to detach myself from everything and accept the world as it is. But that didn't work. It never works. However, eventually I came to the conclusion I had to kill myself. If I wanted to live in peace, I had to remove myself from the chaos. If it meant no longer being confronted with such evil, I was willing to do it. I was ready to do it. Anything to stop having to constantly grapple with the fact evil exists in the heart of every human, including myself. Of course, the pastor can admit that good existed. In a world where superheroes are as common as a coin in a cash register, good was prevalent. However, it was not enough. It was never enough. The evil was simply too overwhelming for any acts of good to matter. Before I could end my own existence, I realized if I remove myself, then the evil persists, nothing changes, the vulnerable continue to suffer, and would never get justice or retribution. That felt wrong. I couldn't just leave it at that, escaping this world while leaving others to suffer. I couldn't. I have to do something. I have to, I guess, save the world. And so I came to the conclusion to wipe humanity from the face of the earth, remove all the evil and hope that whatever emerges after will do better than us.